All right. Well, Cheryl, it is so good to see you. I always love catching up with you, and I'm loving your podcast. It is
Oh,
so
thank you.
fabulous. I feel like the last time we spoke, it was just launching. So now that we are, what is it, like a year later? How
Exactly,
do you
actually.
exactly a year? I mean, how do you feel with having a year under your belt?
Wow, I've learned so much along the way. Just, in general, like I've got a newfound respect for you guys. Like it is
Mhm.
it's difficult. Like what's been challenging for me is just to really be able to listen and kind of go with the flow of like my guests, because that's been a
Mhm.
whole new world. I'm always used to being interviewed, not the interviewer. So
Mhm.
that's a different skill set. But I think within this niche of a podcast, which is all Dancing with the Stars, I just feel like I am still, in a way, grieving, but not nearly as
Yeah.
heavy as it was a year ago.
Mhm.
And I also feel like it's been helpful to hear my guest stories and what
Mhm.
they've been through, because we don't have that time to talk.
Mhm.
And if we do get there, we always get pulled a different direction. So there's a lot of similarities, but there's also beautiful memories, and it's just,
Mhm.
it's everything. So.
Definitely. Looking back over the course of this year, I know you've had so many wonderful conversations with people, but is there one that really stood out to you that when you left that conversation, you're like, wow, I needed that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's a handful for sure.
Mhm.
I would say anyone who chooses to be vulnerable with me, I just
Yeah.
am
Mhm.
like, it's a safe space. And this is why I like to get to know like their family dynamics when they were growing
Mhm.
up, and what they dealt with as far as like insecurities when they
Mhm.
were teenagers. And Leah Thompson, I really connected with. I would say Charity really was so
Mhm.
vulnerable. And I can tell she DM'd me after our interview and she's like, we never really met, but I was just so nervous. And thank you for just letting me speak and creating a safe space. And that must have been really difficult because,
Mhm.
and by the way, that was a fresh wound coming off of the last season. So I'm just grateful for my guests that are willing, and even those that are not willing to open up, I'm
Right.
just
Yeah.
grateful for their time.
Yeah, well, that's a testament to you that they feel safe to open up to you about. So, it's like you said, it's not always an easy thing, but for somebody to
No,
feel comfortable telling their stories, their personal stories, that's a testament to you.
no,
Is there
thanks.
somebody that you are hoping to get on that maybe like it has, passed and you're like, no, you need to come on my podcast immediately, or somebody that you're just really hopeful to get?
I've been listening to, especially her in Julianne Hough's interview. I've known Julianne, I was there during her when she was turning 10 years old in England. And I was like, I went to her birthday party when she had an English accent, and it's so beautiful. I was super emotional watching her interview actually, because I have never seen her so vulnerable and just really being her authentic self ever than that interview. And I would love to talk to her because I feel like we have a
Yeah.
lot in common.
Definitely. Do you feel like, because I feel like when we spoke last year, you said that leaving Dancing with the Stars was like your worst divorce. That's how you described it. Do you feel like over the course of this past year that almost doing these interviews has helped you grieve that
Yeah,
breakup?
for sure. And I
Mhm.
just like, it just feels like I said earlier, just like less
Yeah.
weight, but
Hmm.
also less any type of anger or whatever, reality was in my head
Hmm.
at that time. It was an open wound when, obviously I decided to do this podcast, but it's never going to be a good time, right? Like at some
Right.
point, either I was going to run away from this whole experience and never look
Hmm.
back, or do what was healthy, which is really facing it and kind of bonding and trauma bonding with my guests, but all in a beautiful light. Like it's not a bad thing. I think with beautiful memories also come, ups and downs and
Hmm.
challenges and beautiful times. Like that's life.
How would you describe your relationship with the show now?
Um, I'm still a fan. I don't know how they
Hmm.
feel, obviously.
Yeah.
But the show, I just know I'm never going to forget where I came from. And like even
Hmm.
watching last night, I was so emotional and I am invested still. And I
Hmm.
can tell like I we record via Zoom, right? And so
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
there's certain clips that, I'll get from my heart, and I'm like my react like you could just tell like I am a super fan and I always will be.
Do you get that like FOMO about not being out there anymore?
It's interesting because I thought I would after seeing Whitney come back, and I think that like she looks incredible and she's as if she's never missed a season, but I don't. And I was actually asked this recently by Jack Osborne, who was one of my partners, and
Mhm.
he's like, "Do you miss it at all?" And I'm like, I don't miss it as whatever role I was in, as a pro
Mhm.
dancer. Now I can't tell you if I of any other role because that's all I did. So I mean,
Yeah.
meaning that was a lot, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
I miss I do miss the camaraderie. I miss like
Mhm.
set life. I miss the dancers.
Mhm.
But I don't miss the actual like workload as far as
Yeah.
not the amount of work, but I guess the same thing over and over again for me because I did it for so many
Right.
seasons that I felt stagnant and on autopilot for a while there.
I was going to say, did it almost get monotonous after a course of so
It
many
did.
seasons? Because I'm sure
And a
like it's,
lot,
you
yeah.
have to come up with a lot of different dances, a lot of different choreography. And, sometimes you get really great partners, sometimes you don't get good partners. So it's got to be,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was actually funny you say that because it was I think it was season 19 and I did take a break. I went over to do
Mhm.
a show called I Can Do That. But that was when I was like, oh no. And I was almost like mad at myself for feeling like this because
Mhm.
I'm like, this is such an amazing opportunity. Anybody would want this job. And
Mhm.
I was like, but why do I feel like I'm just like a robot?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I needed to leave when I left
Hmm.
for a few seasons because I had to. I think what it was for me was like I wasn't learning and I was only teaching for so many
Sure.
years.
Yeah, no, definitely. Did you ever feel like when you left the show, because obviously dance has been a part of your life for as long as you can remember.
Forever. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, oh no, I'm going to go through like some sort of identity crisis in a way? Did
Oh,
you
I
ever fear
did.
that?
I
You
did.
did, yeah.
I did. I don't know if
Yeah.
I even feared it because I didn't know it was going to happen, but I did. I think
Hmm.
this past year, and this is why I think, as you can see on my social media, like I'm really choosing me,
Yeah.
from
Hmm.
choosing to be celibate to not dating and all of it. And I think this is
Hmm.
part of it because I am trying to still, and by the way, I think it's ever growing and
Hmm.
it's always going to evolve. But like I'm
Yeah.
figuring out who I am without that show.
Yeah. Hmm. Do you feel like you are almost there, or do you feel like you figured it out?
I don't feel like it's ever period, like end of like,
Right?
okay,
Like
this is who I am.
you're always evolving.
I think that what really was eye-opening for me was realizing that nothing outside of me defines who I am. And it's really being able to just like digest that was like, wait, what? Because like
Yeah.
everything, my success was what I kind of would relate myself to. And if I didn't
Mhm.
get it, then it would be the opposite. And I'd feel bad about myself that if I won a mirror ball trophy, like everything outside of me did, I like for me, that was my identity. So then to
Mhm.
realize, whoa, actually, no, like who am I inside of all of this?
Mhm. If
This
they
is really
ever,
deep.
no, it is no, but no, this
Okay,
is
good, good, good,
wonderful. Like, no,
good.
I appreciate you being so
Okay,
vulnerable.
of course.
If they ever did pick up the phone and called you and asked you to return, would that even, considering the amount of work that you have done over this past year, could you ever see yourself going back to that space?
As a pro dancer?
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, again, like I think too, that's my past in a way. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like, I think with all this, like a nude faces that we saw last night,
Yeah. Hmm.
I start to like, use them, I think is important. Also, I don't think I would be in a spot where it would be so easy for me to get sucked back in a way where it's
Hmm.
like, it starts to define me again. And I'm still a little vulnerable to say, okay, I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
But I also don't, I think feelings aside, I just have zero interest in teaching another celebrity how to dance, to be quite honest.
I totally get it. And I know
Let's
that
just
you
be
said that,
real.
like, let's be real. I mean, I know you said that you were really heartbroken when you weren't brought back for the Len dance. Did you ever
Yeah,
get the answers as to why?
no, and that's
No.
okay. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of unanswered questions I have in general,
sure.
not just about that show, but like, and sometimes you just You don't know. Maybe it's better this way. And I can only
Yeah.
assume, obviously, I would guess it was the podcast, but hopefully
Yeah.
now they understand that this is not there's no harm in this podcast
Mhm.
whatsoever,
No, no, that's what I love about this podcast is like you're just reliving everybody's experiences and their stories, and
Yeah. We don't
you're
even
not
talk
talking
about the
about
show until the
scandals.
end. Yeah.
What's that?
We don't even talk
Right,
about the show until the very end. And most of the
right.
interviews about them. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's not about the scandals and things like that. Why did you decide to be celibate for this past year? And what's that experience been like for you?
I think with my sobriety, with
Hmm.
my divorce from the show, from my
Yeah.
ex-husband,
Hmm.
moving, all of these life changes that I've heard like you can only do five before you go like actually insane. So I'm like almost at that limit. But
Sure.
but that's who I am. Like I'm like all or nothing, right? We're gonna go 1,000%, even though there's only 100. Um, but I believe that I don't know. It was just, it naturally just ended up being like that. Because then, I'm in therapy, I'm active with my therapist at least twice a week. And at first I was like, oh, is this part of my social anxiety? Like, am I building up this wall because I'm like scared to be hurt again or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Because that would be something that I would do. But actually, what is so insane is like society today, it's almost like what's wrong with you when you're 40 and single instead of like
Right.
celebrating people who have the courage to be single at 40. And
Mhm.
yet we parade love, new relationships all over Instagram. And I'll never forget being interviewed by somebody recently, and they're like, well, you seem like really proud to be single, like as if it was not like, are you sure you're proud? And I'm like,
Right.
it's interesting. And I have a lot of questions I ask my threads account, and it's really fascinating to hear other people's opinions where, you know, some will be like like you're just a bad picker, you're doomed for life. And then some will just be like, no, that just means you know what you want. Like, you know what you want, you know what you don't want, like celebrate that. And it's generational. I truly believe it. Like, I think the older generation may think
True.
like, this is not normal. Like you should be having babies and you should be married. You know, it's interesting.
But it is interesting, but why settle? Why go through something that's bad?
Thank
And
you.
right, you want to make sure that you are moving in the right direction and that's the right decision for you. I never
And
understood
that's
that
the
either.
thing. And like I know a lot of my friends actually who are choosing to just settle and they're
Yeah,
not happy.
right. Yeah, no, they're not. And it's going to catch up to them eventually because,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's going to, right? Are you looking now, or are you still just happy with, where you are? And it'll come to you when it comes to you. Are you kind of have that mindset?
Yeah. Like I don't think I'll
Yeah.
ever join a dating app. I mean, like I can never say never, but like I
Right.
have no plans of joining a dating app, and nor do I ever think or see myself looking, right? Like what is that? I truly believe, even though I need to be better at leaving my house because I still like live like a hermit sometimes, but I think it will happen when it happens. When my energy shifts, then I know if it does happen, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah. No, and I think it's
I'm
it's a
not in a
testament to you.
rush. Like I
No,
just,
and I was going to say it's a testament to you to not give into those societal pressures too, because like you said, so many women do, and it's hard sometimes to ignore I'm sure the people on
oh
your
yeah,
comments and things like that, and people just coming up on the street like, who are you dating now?
I know. No, I mean, this is the number one question. I've been doing press all morning, and
I'm
this is
sure.
like, and I'm like, are you sure you want to talk about this? There's not much to talk about, but I don't think
Right.
people believe me when I say I've been celibate and I'm choosing
Yeah.
celibacy and I'm
Mm.
choosing to be single. They're just like, what?
What?
Like as if
Right.
I'm speaking a different language, like
Right.
completely, which is so interesting. And then
That
like
is
if I
interesting.
it is. And there is a little bit of like initially I'm thinking, oh wait, should I be? Like, is this but no, why?
Wow.
Like I am on that Maya train. Go Maya.
Good for you. I love it. And so
Yeah.
you've been celibate for a year now, you said?
3 years almost.
3 years. Oh, wow. Okay. three
Since
years.
I've been
Wow.
divorced. Yeah.
Since
Or
you've
since
been
I've been
divorced. Good for
separated.
you.
Mhm.
Right. Good for you. Good for you. And do you feel like
Yeah.
it's changed your mindset? Do you feel like that's changed your mindset?
I've definitely built a lot more self-love and self-respect and
Yeah.
self-worth because I was a serial dater, you know. So it's
Right.
like I
Yeah.
never was ever single.
Hmm.
The thought of living alone or being alone was just not an option. It was just never going
Hmm.
to happen in my world. So this is I just I love that I've grown so much and that I'm doing it consciously and with an intention.
Good for you. I think that's wonderful. You said
Thank
something
you.
before how you deal with social anxiety as well, which is something that I find interesting
The
since
list
you
is
are so
long.
great, right? Since you're so good at talking to people, you're so outgoing. How do you manage that?
Well, I just, for me, I'm just like, okay, because I used to drink for
Hmm.
me to be able to go out and be social, though I thought that that was what would get me out of my shell. But really, it's when I have to do it, I do it. And it may not look like I have social anxiety. And mind you, there's different levels. Like I don't have a
Sure.
severe case
Mhm.
of it, but I don't know. It's all in my head. I do know that. I do know not to believe my thoughts, like all of my thoughts at least,
Mhm.
because they're just creating, anxiety and the unknown is what's scary. Clearly, there's this control that I think I have, which I know I don't
Yeah.
intellectually, but I do go
Mhm.
back to those old habits and I start making shit up and then it just causes anxiety around other people. I also hate small talk, to be quite
Yeah.
honest. So like it's like almost like
Totally.
it's my pet peeve,
I
actually.
I I can totally relate to that. I can totally
I'd much
relate.
rather see you wear shorts and attempt a cha-cha than to do small talk.
100%. Speaking of Cha-Cha, I mean, let's talk a little bit about last night's Dancing with the Stars. I mean, who really caught your eye, good or bad, last night?
I was actually pleasantly surprised by the
Yeah.
season, and
Okay.
I wasn't as I guess I had no expectations. Like I wasn't excited, nor was I not excited about hearing
Right.
the cast. Most of the and this is who I am. I just didn't know a lot of them, but
Sure.
there was a fresh like energy. I don't know if it was the new faces. I think it was just a mixture of everything. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
And I loved the fact that I was wrong predicting that Joey the Bachelor wasn't going to be great. Like he was shocking.
It's good.
He was good. Like there is
Hmm.
something to work with there, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not hopeless. Like he has rhythm. He definitely is a good student because if he was a tennis coach, you would think.
Sure.
And they look really good together. I'm not as shocked about Dwight Howard. Like I know Danny's amazing. In a way, it kind of like it's not shocking because she won with Amon. Like
Sure.
you know
Yeah.
that
It's like,
and I'm just happy he wasn't my partner. He was supposed to be my partner,
I
my
know, I
last
read that
season.
he was supposed, and then he like backed out last minute. Is
When
that
I was
right?
on my way to the airport, like I was packed, I already had everything organized, and yep, and that's when Sam Champion, stepped in. But I'm grateful for it because I couldn't do what Danny did last night. There's no way in hell. I am
So
not.
Sam
I'm like,
stepped
I
in.
love my life.
Right. Yeah, seriously. So Sam stepped in kind of like last minute, kind of like a Jen and Sasha type of thing, where it was like a last minute casting choice.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
happy because we were friends even before
Yeah.
that. So it was
Hmm.
nice to end with someone who, I felt comfortable with and vice versa. I think I would have had to had retire if that happened with, because he is like, I mean, 6'7" with Rick Fox was a lot. And I think that was the
Right.
start of my injuries. But
Yeah. Hmm.
6'11", like this is insanity. It's insane.
Do you, it is. Do you think that runs through the back of Danny's mind that like she could get seriously injured this season since she is so small?
No. I don't
No, yeah.
know. I don't know. I mean, like, yes and no, but I think she has a little bit more, I would say she has more skill when it comes,
Yeah.
like, I am strictly ballroom, which means like there was no lifts ever, ever,
Right.
ever, never, ever. So I was
Uh-huh.
never coached. So I'm like, and I'm pretty sure same with Danny, but like she, this is a different personality. Like she's like, throw me. And I'm like, don't
Right.
you dare.
So my toes are not lifting off the ground. Thank you. Um, what
Like
do you
do a
make
cha-cha
of
lock.
right? What do you make of Gleb and Brooks? Because obviously their chemistry is like through the roofs. All they talk about is how hot each other are. What do
Oh my
you make of that?
goodness.
And then being so open about their
Are
flirtation, I guess.
they? I mean,
Are
I've
they
heard that they're like I mean, of course they're denying anything but the flirtation, maybe, right? Like,
right? Yes,
and
I
I
meant like
get
open
it.
about. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, open about their flirtation, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think also the way that the show edits it, like I was also part of that world as well, where I was always paired, not always, I mean, but there were seasons where it was like, okay, this is the couple. We're gonna make this. I think it was who was it? Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
That was
Hmm.
one. And look, I get it. It's a TV show, but I really hope because he may not have the same fan base as like an Ocho Cinco,
Hmm.
he really needs to put that aside, which is hard.
Yeah.
But I think what's more realistic is Gleb. He needs to like break down that barrier because there is a wall. And when you've got two gorgeous people who are just gorgeous and honestly intimidating because they're so beautiful, and to not see like a fun, playful side and to only see like flirting and hot
Hmm.
chemistry, I don't know if people are going to get behind that as
Sure.
much.
Hmm. Producers knew what they were doing, though, putting them together.
Yes. Yes. I just hope that like they can give them a chance because like everyone's in their honeymoon phase right now. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it ain't going to be that sexy in about a week and a half from today.
Right. They're not going to be singing each other's praises like this a week and a half from now. Do you still have that ring that Ocho Cinco gave you?
No, I don't. I gave it back actually.
You do?
Oh my God, I do not. But I have other pieces of jewelry that he gave me for sure. Yeah, no, that ring was up not it looks like this one though, huh? Is that why you asked? Oh my
No,
God, no,
it
this
was
is
funny
fake.
because
This
I
is
was,
from like Nordstrom or something.
that's amazing.
No,
I love
now that
that.
you say it, that's amazing. Yes, you're right. Oh wow. Good memory.
Good memory. What did you make of Anna Delvey? Obviously, that casting choice was a little controversial. She
You
had it
think?
blinged out a little bit. What did you kind of make of that? And a lot of people were also commenting on her lack of enthusiasm on the dance floor.
I've got a few I guess thoughts here.
Yeah.
I really wish that she would have was paired with Val because I think Val would have
Mhm.
cracked her open a little bit as far as like finding some sort of emotion, whatever emotion she needed to express. Because I think that's what there's a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Hmm.
the disconnect, first of all, she feels like she's being attacked. So psychologically, you're like, okay, protect, 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 protect.
Hmm.
Don't let anybody in. I get it. But I just wonder if it's almost like too soon, right? Like
Mm. Yeah.
you can't avoid the comments. You can't avoid hearing what Whoopi Goldberg says about her. You can't avoid it. But the only thing, like, if she's even listening to this, honestly, the one thing that she can do, if she really wants to change people's minds and perception about her and perspective, whatever, is to really open up and
Hmm.
showcase anger if it's anger,
Hmm.
sadness if it's sadness. Like she cannot, I think it's the one expression on her face
Hmm.
almost looks like a little bit like she's entitled, right? And looks like she doesn't want to be here. And I know that that's
Hmm.
not the case because she is, I saw it last night. She worked hard to be able to do that,
Sure.
regardless of what
Yeah.
anyone thinks. If it's good, she has potential. But what she
Yeah.
needs to understand is not just a dance competition at all, actually. I would say it's more of a who are you as a person competition? Like,
Hmm.
how vulnerable will you be? That comes first. Like that is
Sure.
75% of the competition. Like it's a journey.
Hmm.
It's like, are you letting people in? Because she didn't let Alex Cooper in when she did Call Her
Right.
Daddy. And that was
Hmm.
really hard for me because I was trying to give her a chance. Like I wanted to. I wanted to like her.
Hmm.
And I don't
Right. No,
have
I
an
agree with you.
opinion. It's not like I don't like her. It's just that like I don't relate to her because like I just need to like get in there a little bit. That's
Sure.
all.
Yeah. The wall has to come down a little bit.
But I get it too. And also
Mhm.
accountability. If you can't do
Yeah.
the wall coming down, at least just, it's not about paying people back either. It's just about just sorry. Like I'm so sorry if I, whatever it is, right? Like, and
Hmm.
that is,
Right.
I haven't heard that yet.
No, no, I don't yet. I don't know if we're gonna get it. I mean, early predictions. I mean, is it too soon to call? I mean, obviously Chandler has a lot of dance background, and she, looked like she had been there for
Yeah.
weeks already.
But
Um,
Brandon killed it.
he did. He did a
Brandon,
great job.
he
Hmm.
freaking killed it. Like I've never seen him like that before.
In it to win it.
Yeah.
Do you are you
Solid.
still do you still consider Dancing with the Stars a family to you? Or is everybody there still your family?
they're like a distant family. They're like,
A distant family.
but not in a bad way, just like people that will always be your family no matter what.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They're, unfortunately, it is that, and I think
Yeah.
like I wish it wasn't, but I'm just being honest. Like it is like a
No.
distant family. It was like my adopted family there for 17 years of my life.
Right. Definitely. And I don't know if you want to comment, and I know you did speak out a little bit about Artem, and I know that you said that he was family to you. I don't know if you've spoken to him or,
Mm-mm.
if you want to comment further on what you had said previously.
I think I just wanted to be clear that it was just coincidental, right? I was
Hmm.
doing headlines and hot topics, which is a series for my podcast, and
Hmm.
it just happened to be as this whole thing was unfolding.
Hmm.
So, naturally, my boss was wanting a reaction, and my reaction was my reaction. And at the end of the day, though, I send them all so much love, and I hope everybody's okay. I hope, Mateo's okay. And I just hope they take the time to heal because this
Hmm.
is pretty traumatizing. I can only imagine, especially having to do it in the public eye with
Right.
like
Mhm.
every little thing coming out. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, just like you said, hopefully everybody heals and Mateo is
It's just
doing
gonna take
good.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally, totally.